Hello, this video is an overview of the vehicle search. Vehicle search option is on the menu. We can select it. It takes us to the vehicle search panel. In the search panel, you'll notice in the top left corner there's a green dot. The green dot indicates that we have an internet connection. The internet connection allows us to sync chalk records, temporary permit information, and other details. If the dot shows orange, it just means that we're using cached information. The handheld maintains its own cache of information, and we want to make sure that we have fresh data now and again. It's great if we can have that green dot on all the time, but sometimes we need to use cached information if we happen to get outside of a Wi-Fi or a internet zone. In the center of the screen, we have the two drop lists. One represents the parking groups and one represents parking zones. Parking groups and parking zones are different in that lots can belong to groups, but lots have zones. So in the case of the drop list, we can drop that list and we can see that the top two records are any parking group, which means any groups that are lot. The second item is all ungrouped lots, so any lots that do not belong to a group, and a lot can only belong to one group at a time. And then the three at the bottom represent just some groups, some test groups that were created. So those groups may contain one or more lots. In the case of the zone information, we can see here that any zone, again, represents any zone, whereas the zones that are listed below that, Centrum, Daycare, Garage L1, and Garage Level 2, may indicate zones which uniquely identify a particular area. So as an example, in the case of daycare, we might have lots that are near buildings. And in those lots, there are certain times when people can drop off children or pick people up or, that sort of an idea. And as a result of that, each of those lots may have a designated time where, say, somebody who's, parked on the other end of the campus can come to that area to do a drop-off and not be ticketed. But it would be between certain times and on certain days. Generally, when we're doing validation or enforcement, we have any parking group in any zone. And the system will indicate whether or not they're allowed to be parked. We can, based on the fact that we're grouping or using zone information, we can resolve that down to whatever level we want, even down to the specific lots themselves. In the case of the search text item, we can search text. So we can simply type in JROC as an example and do a search. And it brings up information in the search list at the bottom. So here we can say that there's two matching records found because the first record, the white plus sign, represents the ability for us to add a new vehicle. The second one represents the fact that this is not a valid vehicle, and you can see that it doesn't have a province or a state, so it's JROC, it's a passenger vehicle, so it's not completely identifiable. And the third record does represent a valid plate, which has a valid permit, so we can see the green check mark. The green dot represents that it's an active vehicle in the system, and JROC-ON represents the plate and the province in this case, and the fact that passenger is a passenger vehicle. You'll also note that it says that it's a database query result, so it was able to return that information from the cached database, or the database on the handheld. The next option in the search interface is a microphone. And the microphone, what we can do is we can click on that, and that allows us to actually say. So we'll try that. JROCK. And so here we can see that I didn't have to type. I was actually able to just enunciate the letters and have that search happen. The last option is a camera. So basically I can also use the camera to do a search. So by simply taking a picture. So let's try that now. So if we put the plate into the square, press and hold on the screen, and what happens is the plate information is returned back to the system. Again, I didn't have to type this in. And in this case, we can see that it wasn't a database result. It was an LPR read, or a license plate recognition read. And it's saying that it thought it was this plate, 65%. We can see that it did a very good job. In the middle of the screen, you can see that when we do take a picture, the plate is part of the output. And if we were to proceed through to do a violation, this plate would also be included with that violation record. If we want to, we can click on it and we can actually see the context of that. So we can see that there's, in my case, this is my Workbench, but we can see that that would include information, further information about the vehicle. If we scroll down further, we can see again, we can click on the plus sign. It would allow us to chalk this vehicle. So these are the actions that are tied to each of the records that appear in this list. We can chalk this vehicle. We can create a violation for this vehicle, which in this case would mean that we'd be adding the vehicle plus creating a violation. And we can view details about this plate. The next item down, we would actually get the same options. So we can see here that we can do a virtual chalk, a violation, and also review details. And that's pretty much the overview of what we have for the search interface. Thanks for watching.